And in short order, we will all, young and old, pledge allegiance to our new leader, Premier Romanov of the USSR.
Commander, your performance in Colorado was pretty darn impressive. But things have changed since you've been away fighting. The war is over. What I've come to realize is that the commies and us want the same things. You know, female
I don't think we need to hear any more of that.
steak.
It appears that the President and even General Carville are under the influence of a Soviet psychic beacon. It's a mind control device developed by this man. This is Yuri. Our intelligence sources now believe that Yuri and his psychic core are the ones responsible for compromising our defenses before the invasion. Right now, the Soviets control much of the population in the area. Oh, don't worry, Commander. I'm not red yet. Intelligence has not yet determined the exact location of the beacon, but you can be sure it will be heavily guarded by the Soviets. I can link you to all the unaffected troops in the area. Use them to destroy the beacon. With the beacon destroyed, the President will be free to secure a safer location. Establishing battlefield control. Stand by. This, sir, is our IFV. It is a multi-purpose raider capable of boosting the standard weapon capabilities of any infantryman inside. Battle control online.
Well, welcome back, Commander. So, we're introduced immediately to the IFV. Basically, it's your multi-tool of a vehicle. You should experiment with different units just to see what happens. If it's not immediately obvious, if you put an engineer in the IFV, it turns it into a mobile repair vehicle, which is awesome. If you put an infantry or a GI into it, it turns into anti-infantry vehicle. And if you just keep it bog standard, it currently has rockets, which is more of an anti-vehicle slash anti-building thing, but either way.
Moving out.
If there's anything you're going to learn really quickly in this mission as well, is that you should honestly be prioritizing putting units in structures.
Good to go.
And just learning just how valuable those things can be.
Unit report. High speed, low drag. Bound forward.
Sadly for me, I wanted to
Unit lost.
maybe crush some units, but that wasn't going to happen. I also didn't expect these guys to just pop out as quickly as they did.
Cannot deploy here. Building. New construction options.
Destination command.
Construction complete.
Unit reporting.
Do you remember how I
construction
used this
options.
to mention
Building.
things about hospitals
Building.
and whatnot for
On
Tiberian
hold.
Sun?
Training.
So it turns out that that's actually in as a functional mechanic in the
Unit
game.
ready.
On my way.
Whereas before you'd just see the hospital and
Construction
I'd
complete.
always infer that there was
Unit
some sort of
ready.
special thing to them.
New
Now
construction
we actually
options.
have that
Building.
in the flesh?
I've got the
We'll
knowledge.
call it that, I guess.
Analyzing schematics.
Unit ready.
Point being that certain buildings are special, and if you capture those buildings, they will have some sort of direct influence on
Tesla technology. to the final
certain
step.
aspect
A man in a
of your
Tesla-powered
forces.
suit.
Ready to soar.
These soldiers are
Got a
excellent
steady
at
flow.
destroying tanks and also seem to be able to power up Tesla coils with their
Ready
extra
to soar.
energy.
Igniting booster.
Unit ready. Structure garrisoned.
Now, there's a
Building
few
captured.
important
Insufficient
memorials
funds.
slash buildings in the
Structure
surrounding
abandoned.
area, and it would be foolish to assume that
Unit
the
lost.
vision that you're given on these is irrelevant.
Riding high.
Unit ready.
As we've seen already with
Construction
repairing
complete.
one of these unique buildings,
New construction
you should
options.
probably look at
Building.
repairing all of them. It
Building.
might not be completely necessary, but it's something you should still focus on.
Up and over. Got a steady flow.
And yeah, get ready to hear buildings just unload on people for the rest of this LP, really.
Rockets in the sky. Igniting boosters. Got a steady flow. I'll take the high road. Riding high. I can see him.
On hold. On hold.
All fired up.
I have to admit, I kind of forget if there's anything special that happens if you destroy the memorials. Maybe I'll have to look into that some other time.
Check out the view. They won't see us coming. Yes, sir. Bound forward. Ready to roll. Outstanding. Vehicle ready. Go.
So while we have a little bit of downtime,
Ready to roll. Forward.
Might as well explore the map as much as possible. IFVs I kind of never really cared too much about,
Yes, sir.
and since they're free units anyways, I might as well throw them away.
Position.
Much like Tiberian Sun, Fog of War doesn't regrow, except for some very special circumstances, so I'm not really too worried about it at the moment. And considering how
Building.
effective Rocketeers have been so far, I'm just going to keep using them.
I can go anywhere. They won't see us coming. Ready. Ready to roll, Commander. Ready to roll. Securing position. Vehicle driver up.
Also, flak trucks are just terrible. They're really good at anti-infantry, but anything regarding vehicles is kind of bad. If anything, I guess the IFV is kind of that litmus test of
Unit lost.
if you can't defeat it
Rocket to the sky. Already, sir.
in a one-to-one combat, then
Got a clear unit report.
yeah, you're probably not a good vehicle.
Destination, Commander.
Some exceptions apply, obviously, like a Chrono Miner or whatever, but still.
Clear view, sir.
Construction complete.
Surprisingly, I haven't mentioned anything about Lieutenant Eva yet. I like the fact that they turn her into, you know, a human character. It's kind of a, in a way, tongue-in-cheek.
Unit ready.
It's hard not to like it, really.
Arrived.
Unit reporting. Forward.
I have no clue if that's a time
Insufficient
thing,
funds.
or if that's just
Unit
because of
ready.
where I've been moving some of my
hold.
units.
Building.
That will kind of happen frequently for me.
Tank filled. Up
Unit
and
lost.
delivered. Vehicle ready. Low drag. Yes, sir. Securing position. Unit reporting.
Unit ready.
Destination, Commander. Ready to roll.
In a way, I'm already dreading the map video just because it kind of uses the same map maker as I've shown off, like
Yes, sir. On our way, sir.
for Tiberian Sun.
Unit ready.
I'm just not a fan of it, and I just
Unit
know
promoted.
that Red Alert 2 is going to have way more triggers and interesting things than Tiberian Sun ever
Unit
did.
ready.
Ready to soar. Up and over. Ignite.
Unit ready.
It's probably safe to say that just because of all the experience that they've
Unit
had,
ready.
the map makers for Red Alert 2
Building.
just
All fired up.
a lot stronger.
Good to go. Unit reporting.
I find the maps to just be
Unit
more
ready.
engaging throughout.
Bound forward. Vehicle securing position. Vehicle
Unit
bound
ready.
forward. Ready to roll. High speed. Good to go. Weapon ready. Yes, sir. Bound forward.
Unit ready.
Closing in. All fired up. Riding high. Got a steady flow. Got a steady flow. Up and over. Got a steady flow. Check out destination, Commander. Securing
Unit ready.
position. Vehicle ready. Closing in.
Unit ready.
Unit reporting. Ready to roll. Driver up. Riding high.
Unit ready.
Sometimes I forget that this is on hard.
Ready to roll. Bound forward. Vehicle ready. Forward. Outstanding.
Unit ready.
Got a steady flow. Ignite.
So, while it would be possible for me to just flood the entire area with tanks, or at least up to a certain degree,
Unit ready.
money permitting and all that, generally I just find it way
Reinforcements have
easier
arrived.
to use Rocketeers.
Unit ready.
Ready to roll. Destination, Commander. Securing position assault.
They're not the be-all, end-all troops. And again, as
Unit
mentioned in the
ready.
previous video, I kind of rarely ever use Rocketeers in the first place. But honestly, the fact that the Russians don't really have any major counter to the Rocketeer, aside from flak cannons, but they're kind
Unit
of
ready.
mobile, not really worth it, kind of squishy if they're flak trucks, etc. And they don't really cover their base all that well
Unit
for
ready.
anti-air purposes.
All fired up and over. Ignite. Ready to soar.
Also, I don't know if this is a setting that I've forgotten or whatnot, but it's really annoying that I can't double-click a unit to select all of the same. So expect me to have some issues with selections.
Yes, sir. On our way. Check out, clear out the place. Check out, securing position.
Unit ready.
I can go anywhere.
On hold. Cancelled.
Vehicle ready. Securing position. Outstanding.
So the reason I don't want to swarm the map with tanks and what have you is because, well, the garrison buildings are really dangerous. We've seen it a couple times. A vehicle that gets attacked by a garrison building actually gets slowed down quite a bit, to a point where you can almost guarantee that a tank is going to die if you manage to just be foolish enough with their movement.
Unit ready. Building. Unit lost. Unit promoted.
Destination. Engineering.
Unit ready.
I won't be ready. Closing in. All fired up.
Unit ready. Unit promoted.
Vehicle ready. Bound for.
So generally speaking, I haven't really come up against or had the need, I guess we'll call it, to attack them, but the Soviet resource collector, or harvester, whatever you want to call it, is the war miner. They're quite tanky, I think, in comparison to chrono miners. They have more armor.
Unit ready.
But they also sport a defensive gun, which honestly isn't too terrible.
Unit lost.
It feels that way anyways.
Building. On hold. Unit ready. Primary building selected. Building. On hold. No power. Primary building selected. Building captured. New construction options. Unit ready. Construction complete. New rally point established.
So, with one base down, a lot of Rocketeers, and enough tanks, I guess, at this point, it's gonna be a standard mop-up thing. Also, I don't know how I lost an engineer. Probably something to do with the roving civilians.
Building. On hold. Unit ready. Unit ready. Speed upgrade.
Oh, and since the Soviets don't really have a counter in infantry, in terms of the Rocketeer, they don't have like a flak trooper or anything that we can see anyways. You don't really have to worry about sort of retaliation from garrison buildings, with Rocketeers that is. Which is, generally speaking, why I tend to build a bunch.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Land right here. Engineering.
Also, I forget if it's like purposeful
Unit
or
promoted.
what have you.
Unit lost.
The fact that the enemy can't grab crates. I'm pretty sure that was the case for Tyrian Sun as well.
New
But
construction options.
good to know.
Unit promoted. Building captured. New construction options. Our base is under attack. Construction complete. Repairing. Building.
Pushing away.
Construction complete. Building. Unit promoted. Unit promoted. Construction complete.
I have to admit, it's a little strange when the cutscene is implying that the Psychic Dominator or whatever could be anywhere, and yet it's 100 feet away from
Primary objective
the
achieved.
White House.
Incoming transmission.
Commander, whatever it is we're paying you, it isn't enough. I don't know how you got us out of this mess, but I'm extremely grateful. After this is over, I'm going to promote you to whatever you like, except President. Keep an eye out, Commander. I need you out there.
Mission accomplished.